Okay, thanks. Good morning, all. This is School for Course in Miracles, and as always, we'd like to recognize and appreciate the antecedents and the foundation upon which these classes are made, in which case we've got obviously Helen and Bill and Ken and Judy and Tim and Lynn and the School for Course in Miracles and all of you and all of creation. That should be all inclusive enough, right? Anyway, thank you all for being here this morning. And we have a couple of really excellent sections. One's really short, but potent. And the other one's been a longtime favorite of mine. And that is in the first two sections of chapter 21, counting the introduction. But before we do, I thought we could start with an opening meditation. And I thought I'd just we could read, I should say, lesson 236, today's lesson. And Tim, would you like to read that? And we'll use that as an opening meditation.
Sure.
Thanks.
I rule my mind, which I alone must rule. I have a kingdom I must rule. At times, it does not seem I am its king at all. It seems to triumph over me and tell me what to think, what to do, what to feel. And yet it has been given me to serve whatever purpose I perceive in it. My mind can only serve. Today, I give its service to the Holy Spirit to employ as he sees fit. I thus direct my mind, which I alone can rule, and thus I set it free, free to do the will of God. Father, my mind is open to your thoughts, and closed today to every thought but yours. I rule my mind and offer it to you. Accept my gift, for it is yours to me.
All right, gently, let's return to the class. And we have a couple of really wonderful sections to go over today. And this is in chapter 21, the very first part of chapter 21, Reason and Perception. I was thinking about reason and perception. You know, those are the course's words for using our right mind. And most of the time we use false perception. So, obviously the way to get back to the real reason that the course talks about is to shift our mind's use from false perception, aka projection, grievances, special love, special hate, the whole sin, guilt, fear, carnival, and get it back to true perception in order to experience the reason, or use the reason to get back to the true perception. But they're really, the means and the end are the same, right? As the course provides us. So, the Holy Spirit is what we're searching for, and it's also what we're searching with. And today's lesson that Tim read was just perfect because it really sets the stage for that. Our decision maker is really the only thing we need to concern ourselves with. What position is that little submicroscopic switch in our mind that seems tiny and yet is the determiner of the entire universe of our experience at any given moment. So the kingdom that I'm ruling is either the prison of the ego's abysmal dungeon of death, duality, despair, and desperate stuff, or the Holy Spirit's gentle, kindly, healing correction that just says nothing happened. Yeah. Move along, not the droids you're looking for. So, um, any thoughts on that opening meditation in lesson 236 before we, Abe?
Yeah, I'm glad that you chose it because it's a lesson I struggle with a lot. My mind is like a hurricane most of the time. And
Unlike everyone else, of course, right?
right, yeah, yeah. And it's just blowing from this way and that way. And it seems to be out of control. And it seems that I cannot control it.
Yeah.
Uh, but, I'm slowly beginning to dawn on me that the way to calm the mind is not to try to calm the mind,
Mhm.
but rather to watch the mind do its thing and then
Mhm.
say, I choose not to pay attention to the wind and the lightning strikes and whatever, right? I know it's gonna go on and it's okay if it's gonna go on. I just won't listen to it. And that works a lot better than trying to quiet the mind, for me anyways. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, when you mentioned wind, I was thinking I'm getting this house ready to move into doing indoor camping for another couple of days. I've been here about a week and a half. And one of the things that was on my to-do list was paint a couple of walls that had these wild kids room artwork on it. So I put in a couple of coats of primer, and I deferred to the artist in the family, who is my wife, and she picked out a color which is actually pretty close to the background of behind Daniela, the graphic. I made this kind of equivalent of Ken's chart. The bluish color behind ego, insanity, and guilt, and the name of the color is blustery sky. And but that's what all the ego is bluster. So now when I look at that those walls in those two rooms, I will just I will just smile and just say, oh well, there's the blustery sky that I need to look at without condemnation. And so that'll be my cue. So and cue is a word that we're going to use today, and it's one of the words that I think is really important in the Forgotten Song. Cue and inference are two words that I want to spend some time with. Um, Anything else? Thanks, Abe. That was so helpful. Yeah. Okay. Well,
Chris
let's
has
go.
his hand up.
Oh, I was staring at the middle of the screen, didn't even look in the upper left corner. Thank you, Chris.
Is that where I am on
Yeah.
your screen? Well,
Yeah.
me too.
Yeah.
I
Just
I
only
know.
slightly oblivious, right?
Yeah, that's all right. I like to talk about myself in the third person. I think it's fun.
I noticed that. I noticed that. Yes. Yeah. That's helpful, isn't it? It develops objectivity, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it does really. Today's lesson just whenever I feel like this is just too much information to take in, the whole text and the lessons and the manual and the repeated things it says and blah blah blah. I remember one time, and it still has an effect on me, when Jane was in the group, Jane Walling, and we were really getting into some contentious, difficult things to understand, and it seemed like we were just going in a direction that was like, who cares? It's like one of those things when he talks about it. If you're arguing over the course, rip that page out and throw it away. Yeah, and please do that. But this is Ken saying that, I'm sure. And but Jane, after when it kind of came towards an end, she said, "All I know is I bring everything to the Holy Spirit. I bring everything to Jesus, and I just ask for help." And to me, um, that means you have to have a relationship with Jesus or the Holy Spirit. So I'm focusing more and more on developing that. And yes, I do want to understand what the hell's going on here. And I sort of do, because more and more I realize that I rule my mind, which I alone must rule, is true. But it's also the simplicity of salvation to me. Make a choice. You don't have to get into all the details or what's wrong with the world. Just who are you going to listen to? And who in the heck do you think Jesus or the Holy Spirit are? You do want to look at that, because if you have any misgivings about that, it can scare the bejesus out of you. Pardon the pun. But well, sometimes things just come out here. But anyway, so thanks for picking this for the lead off, and but it just helps me focusing in on my decision-making mind, you know, or the blue dot, getting back to the blue dot, and then
Behind
going there,
Daniela's head. Yeah.
going there. We've heard that a few times
And above Tim's head. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Yeah, and I think the purpose of the course is to not scare us, but to remind us that we could be Jesus in our identity, and not just have it scared out of us, but allowed into us, right? Something like that. Anyway.
And just a further note of that, it gets me away from having to try to figure things out.
Yeah.
Not worrying about
yeah.
it. If you just, I'm confused, I need help. Maybe it won't help me to understand what somebody's talking about, but it certainly will give me the realization again that God is love, Holy Spirit. That's what comes through a lot. And if you don't understand it, it's not a big deal. But
Yeah.
you do want to understand that God is love, you know, and go with that and act from there.
Right. Yeah, that premise is crucial, because otherwise, if we think that, you know, we're trying to return our minds to a schizophrenic creator that waxes hot and cold one day to the next, or one moment to the next, you know, that could be a pretty fearful thing, right? Yeah, for sure. Yep. Anything else on that opening lesson? Okay. Myra, would you like to read the first paragraph of the introduction to chapter 21, Reason and
Yes,
Perception?
Bruce, thank you.
Thank
And
you.
just like to mention, I like that you really paid attention to reason and perception. For some reason, I never paid attention to the title. It's really a beautiful description of the right mind and the wrong mind. And I never realized that, so thank you.
Oh.
Yeah, okay. Projection makes perception. Sounds familiar, huh?
Where have we heard that before?
Yeah. The world you see is what you gave it. The you is he's always talking to the decision-making mind. There's not a person who could have done any of this at all. The world you see is what you gave it. Nothing more than that. But though it is no more than that, it is not less. Therefore, to you it is important, to the decision-making mind that believes it. It is the witness to your state of mind. It's the mind, all the mind, the outside picture of an inward condition. Another very familiar sentence, yeah. As a man thinketh, so does he perceive. He's really saying the same thing, but over and over again, to see if we'll get it. Yeah. Therefore, another familiar sentence, therefore seek not to change the world, but choose to change your mind about the world. Wow. A lot of these very famous sentences all in one little paragraph. Perception is a result, not a cause. I think that's so important, because what the ego taught us is that the cause is here on the battleground. There's no cause here in the world. Perception is a result and not a cause. And that is why order of difficulty in miracles is meaningless. Now, miracles principle number 1, there's no hierarchy in miracles or in problems or in anything. No. Everything looked upon with vision from the Holy Spirit is healed and holy. Nothing perceived without it means anything. If it's not vision, then it's perception. And if it's perception, it means nothing. And where there is no meaning, there is chaos, yeah. And there's somewhere a sentence in the, I don't know where it is in the text, that you think that without the ego everything would be chaos, but I assure you, without the ego everything would be love.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Mara, and thanks for all your additions that are very
Yeah,
helpful and appropriate. Yeah.
that's how
Um,
I read you.
and it's a chaotic world that we made because we thought we wanted something more than perfect peace, perfect oneness, uh, pure non-duality. Even though right now that just seems like a distant, dim memory that we have kind of mixed thoughts about. Um, there's a part of our mind that knows that that's our real home where we always have been and always belonged, and that we can never leave. And as you pointed out, the each sentence in that paragraph are course blockbusters and contain the entirety of the whole course if you really think about it. They're all perfect holographic examples of the idea, the one idea that truth is true and nothing else is true, huh? Yeah, thanks. Chris.
Yeah, sentence 10, everything looked upon with vision is healed and holy.
Mhm.
And I kind of relate that to the holy instant that occurs in this kind of pursuit that we're all on. But I've heard, and it almost seems like for the first time recently, but a couple times from sources um, in this class, that sometimes that seems boring, and it's it's not really boring, but I think it gives leeway to times when sometimes you're feeling the Holy Spirit, the Holy Instant, and it's just, you're just in love with it. Go back to that love word, or you're just getting ahas, or you're really revved up emotionally. And other times it just seems kind of almost distant or flat, or what some people might call boring. And maybe that is accurate. Maybe sometimes it is just boring, but I think it's also part of the process, and not to think because I'm not getting the high that I often get when I'm having a holy instant, that something's gone wrong. I don't have to add a story to the fact that I'm not getting all excited because, oh boy, this is good news. It is good news, but it's not always translated into a cheerleading section or anything like that.
Mhm.
Thanks.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, I just think that, but as think about what you're saying, it occurred to me that the idea of something being boring in our normal cultural association, we think of things that are boring as things that don't change, that are relatively stable and static and stationary and steady. Uh, and yet the peace that we're looking for, um, the tranquility, the Course reminds us, is not a little gift. I mean, we've taught ourselves to value essentially a Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, a roller coaster of terror. But we have these moments of exhilaration, when we get to the top of the roller coaster and we look down, it's like, oh, and then we notice the sign like on the Charles Adams cartoon that says in little print at the top of the roller coaster, construction ahead, proceed at your own risk. Right? I remember seeing that in his book of cartoons years ago. But that's kind of that's the roller coaster of special love and special hate, and we think that we call that exciting, and yet what it really is moments of getting an addiction fix and then the withdrawals. They're going from crashing up and down from special love to special hate, and we think because our culture it has romanticized and rhapsodized about those ups and downs, we think that's desirable and valuable. And I was listening, I haven't quite finished listening to Audrey's class from yesterday, but that the whole thing about the development of trust is looking at what we value, and if we value things that change and that are special, then when the specialness shifts, then it's like, oh no, now what? And we forget that the instability is really what's boring, but the constancy of a piece that we are just barely becoming aware of again, that's the real value that we really want, and that transcends any silly attitude about boredom, I think. But even though we're just barely on the early stages of the beginning phase, like it says in the one of the supplements of the first part of remembering what real peace is, what real tranquility is. Abe.
Can I cut in just because you brought up the roller coaster metaphor or whatever? I learned how to cuss on my first roller coaster ride and threatened to kill my older brother who talked me into it. And words came out of my mouth that I'd never ever used before. And it was like, oh, I'm giving up
You're
tranquility
speaking in
for this.
tongues, I presume, yeah.
I beg your pardon?
Speaking in tongues, words that you
Yes,
weren't actually
yes,
taught,
I
but
was.
that came from another
Yeah.
dimension, right?
Oh my God. Yeah. And this was an old rickety roller coaster before the fancy
Oh.
ones now, up in the trees and shaking wooden. And oh my God. I mean, I thought I was dying, literally.
But well, I obviously you appear to have survived anyway, so that's good. That's good. Yeah. Thanks. Abe?
Yeah, the sentence, I'm not sure what number it is. Seek not to change the world, but choose to change your mind about the world, And also the first sentence, projection makes perception. And the other one is perception is a result and not a cause. They're all reiterating something came up last Sunday, which is we first look within, we connect to those ideas, and then project it out, and then we see them reflected back. So everything we're seeing is just simply a choice of what we saw something inside, or we chose to have it there, and now we see it being reflected back to us.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And it really is, our mind is really a house of mirrors, and it really depends on which one of those two thought systems is. And the ego will basically distort and modify and change the mirror so that everything that seems to come back to us, which is really still in our mind, appears to be different from us. Whereas the Holy Spirit will restore the sameness that's our real identity, and see, with loving kindness, the reality of our kinship that has never left, in every specific thing that we seem to be perceiving, which is really, and that's how we undo the projection, and it becomes an extension of the same identity instead of a projection of a different identity that then becomes the reason for warfare and discontent and grievances and the whole gamut of sin, guilt, fear battles, right? Yeah, thanks. Yeah. Myra?
Yeah, just to go in about that boring bit, because the ego will be very, very quick to say, there are no roller coasters in heaven. There's no ice cream in heaven. There are no Zoom meetings in heaven. So what are you going to do? And then we can be tempted to believe the ego's lies only because we have not yet truly understood the meaning of love and peace and joy that is our true inheritance. We're busy learning that right now. And
Exactly.
when that falls in, then it's not boring at all.
Right.
And it's surprisingly very natural. There are no big enjoyments or hilarity or so that you're at the top of the roller coaster and no, there's no fireworks, there's no 4th of July. It's the most natural feeling that you can ever imagine.
Exactly. And I think that it's really a steady hilariousness is really, I think, in a sense, that what the course is aiming for is to consistently see the joke. And I'm reminded of my friend Steve Behrman, a.k.a. Swami Byanananda, who says that we suffer from irregular hilarity, and that's the cause of our distress. And so, but if we could see the joke consistently, then we'd be happier more frequently. Thanks. Tim.
Yeah, I was thinking, for some reason, I was thinking about Patrick Henry's "Give Me Liberty or Give Me Death." I mean, that's what when we get to the top of the roller coaster ride, what makes it really exciting is they take us to the edge of death and then they free us from it. I mean, that's why amusement parks exist. which ride can take me to the edge of death, but not really kill me. And then I can go through that. I mean, so in order to have liberty, you have to have death. You have to have this tremendous fear that death is very, very real and very, very possible. And otherwise, what's there to fix? There's nothing to fix.
Be freed from doom, right?
Where's Chris Jansen? Roll your own damn mind, Chris Jansen. Stop blaming your brother.
And we can all learn to channel profanities from another dimension, like Chris was doing. But the course says, well, maybe there's you know, a different message that we might find actually more enjoyable. Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to add to what Myra was saying, there is true perception.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, there's good stuff too. True perception is equivalent to vision. So I mean, reason can actually take us to an experience of true perception versus the ego's perception of, which is Jesus usually uses the word projection. True perception is really extension.
Exactly.
So,
And extension extends sameness, which means that the kinship that is our birthright and our shared inheritance is applicable to everyone and everything. From the little bears that are fighting in Stephen's picture, to the raccoon I saw walking this morning, to the pine needles in the backyard, to whatever we have to be looking at. Yeah. David, would you like to read the next paragraph? Paragraph 2 in the introduction?
Paragraph 2.
Yes, please.
Damnation is your judgment on yourself, and you will project it upon the world. See it as damned, and all you see is what you did to hurt the Son of God. If you behold disaster and catastrophe, you try to crucify him. If you see holiness and hope, you join the will of God and set him free. There is no choice that lies between these two decisions. You will see the witness to the choice you made and learn from this to recognize which one you chose. The world you see shows you how much joy you have allowed yourself to see in you and to accept as yours. And if this is its meaning, and the power to give it joy must lie within you. The whole thing talks about projection, and we can see holiness or we can see judgment. We can see life or we can see death. We can be joined to the will of God, be set free between these two decisions. You'll have a witness of a choice you made and learn from it to recognize what you chose. So we're always back to that blue dot of the decision maker, and which choice we make determines how we're going to feel and whether we experience the peace of God. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and that peace of God is available every moment of every day, but we just have to kind of stop and catch ourselves, as I've been reminding myself to do more frequently. Just say, "Oh, that's right. I could have a little nod to God moment," and that can shift everything. Even if it just lasts for a moment, those little moments start to accumulate, and we realize that, you know, we have a consistently peaceful experience. And when we do that, and when we don't do it in some fashion or another, if we basically are, you know, buying into the false perception, you know, then peace. We may have the special love, special hate roller coaster going, but the peace is gone, and then we have to, you know, slowly but surely decide what we want to value. You know, reason or perception. Yeah. Chris and then Myra.
Yeah, so I kind of like to say I've got some good news and some bad news. And, and it's right here in this paragraph. I'll just pick line 5. There's no choice that lies between these two decisions, Holy Spirit or ego. And I've even have a real live experience I just had. But it kind of explains why a lot of the time I'm not feeling joyful because of who I'm listening to. And some of the time I am feeling joyful because of who I'm listening to, what teacher I'm listening to. And I was, so that's the good news. The good news is, listen to the Holy Spirit. The bad news is a lot of times you're going to default to the ego because you've kind of learned that. And here I am getting ready to talk or listen to this, and my landlord downstairs is blowing the leaves off the sidewalk with this great big loud blower. And so I'm running over to close the window in the part of my house. And then he goes to the other part where my window's open. I'm closing that, but damn, will you be quiet? It's like I'm immediately listening to the ego that this guy is bothering. I'm trying to get holy here. For Christ's sake, man, will you shut up? And it's like, but now I think it's getting to me. I can look at that and just kind of laugh with Jesus that this is, yeah, you want more examples of how this works. So I'm going to go out and kiss my landlord, and I'll be right back.
And kiss the dinosaur powered rake too, right?
Yeah.
Thanks. Myra.
Yeah, he says here that the world will witness to the choice we made. So I just wanted to add on, and the body also. That's what Chris was just saying, that wonderful, helpful sentence, how do you feel? And then we know which choice we've made with our decision maker, which teacher are we listening to? So, and as Ken would say, the world and the body are then our classrooms.
Yes.
If you can, yeah.
Exactly. And that the world and the body cover a fair amount of ground. If you put those two together, they make the prison of the ego's projection, or shift it over to the other side, they become the classroom where Holy Spirits can show the sameness behind every projector's mind and see that kinship that's there, and the eternal camaraderie that we never really have forsaken. Abe, thanks.
I also wanted to expand on the same sentence that Chris pointed out, the one that says there is no choice that lies between these two decisions. So it's saying, number one, that this is a binary condition. If it's not in one position, it's got to be on the other. There is no other possibility. Okay. Now, there are practical implications to that when in our daily practice, which means that when I am choosing not to listen to the ego, I am in fact choosing to listen to the Holy Spirit, because it's a binary condition again. If it's not on the one side, the switch is not on one side, it is on the other side. So choosing to not put it on the one side, it's the same thing as choosing to put it on the side it is. And I find that helpful in my daily practice, because I have trouble asking the Holy Spirit, but I'm better at seeing the ego at work and saying, I don't want to listen to that. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. That's it. I mean, I think the course is almost completely about, looking at when we're miserable without condemnation and just say, oh, I just chose the wrong teacher. Because we don't have to, recite countless affirmations and work to establish the truth. The truth has already been established. We just have to stop fighting it and stop building barricades in our mind against it. The other thing you said that was interesting, that kind of, I hadn't really thought about it, but, and Myra will probably appreciate this, maybe several others, is the vertical horizontal aspect of the binary. Because in this world, our current computer technology is based on a horizontal binary of ones and zeros. It's basically, something that's true or false on the level of form. But I think the course's binary is a non-dual binary, and that there's truth is true and nothing else is true. And so that's the truth is true is the one, and the zero is everything on the level of the form, including the ones and zeros in our computers. So when we have a quantum computer, It's kind of an interesting metaphor. Pardon the nerdy aside here, but a quantum computer has a third state, which is indeterminate, which is when we haven't projected yet. It's basically the potential to remember that we don't need to project, and that could be the indeterminate state. Anyway, I'll stop there because that's just a half-baked theory on my part. But who knows? Maybe there's something to that. Anyway, anything else on that second paragraph, which is also very loaded? Yeah. If you see holiness and hope, you join the will of God to set him free, and that's it. I mean, if I can remember that the true hope is in that I can remember to look without condemnation on everything that I behold and realize, oh, if I've projected it, I can turn it around. I can see peace instead of this. Yeah, and I'm not upset for the reason I think. Yeah, the world shows you how much joy you've allowed yourself to see in you and accept as yours. Yeah. So yeah, lots of good stuff in those first two paragraphs, huh? So anyway, well, since there's lots more to cover, why don't we go to the Forgotten Song? And next on my list is just going across the screen is Chris. Would you like to read the first paragraph of the Forgotten Song, Chris?
Sure.
Thanks.
The Forgotten Song. Never forget the world the sightless see must be imagined, for what it really looks like is unknown to them, what it really looks like. They must infer what could be seen from evidence forever indirect, and reconstruct their inferences as they stumble and fall because of what they did not recognize, or walk unharmed through open doorways that they thought were closed. And so it is with you. You do not see. Maybe we'll come back to that. Because I kind of feel like the you there is actually my body. You do not see. Could be.
Or you decision-making mind in the ego position.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's that? Yeah.
That. Your cues for inference are inferences. Your cues for inference are wrong. And so you stumble and fall down upon the stones you did not recognize, but fail to be aware you can go through the doors you thought were closed, but which stand open before unseeing eyes, waiting to welcome you. So, in a very direct way, it seems like he's asking us here to, just take a look at how we're looking at the world, and realizes that, and later on he talks about, even if you're blind, this works. You'll know this, the truth about who you are and what the world's for. Those closed doors that you thought were closed, which to me means just keep deepening their relationship with the Holy Spirit, or with Jesus, or with something other than another person or thing, even a golf game, for Christ's sake. Nothing wrong with golf.
Nothing wrong with anything in the dream. Exactly. All right. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, this is another very loaded paragraph. And at least three different metaphors come to mind. The blind man and the elephant. Each of them has a part of the picture, but one grabs the tail, one grabs the trunk, one grabs an ear, one grabs a tusk, one grabs a leg. They're all right. One grabs the body, torso, and just like, well, no, they're not wrong. They're just incomplete, woefully incomplete. But the elephant that we've all been grappling with is the enormity of our mind, and we've split it up in all these things, and crazier yet, we've made the pieces that we cut apart different, and we call them people, and we call them galaxies and atoms and molecules, and countless other specific things that are all special, right? How crazy is that? Another favorite metaphor is that not seeing the cues. is that wonderful scene in Blazing Saddles where Slim Pickens and his band of bad hombres are riding through the desert, and the toll gate goes down, and they don't see that they could somehow, it's like they've got blinders on. They can't see that they could go either side of that silly toll gate in miles in either direction and go around the silly thing. But no, they have to wait and find enough dimes to pay the toll gate, right? But anyway. And then Plato's cave allegory is another one that comes to mind. He's like, we're really not chained, but when it's pointed out to us that we're unchained, that's taking away our defenses sometimes. And when we do that, we need to remind ourselves, I just need to take my defenses away and not be concerned about removing anyone else's defenses. And that, because that can be like the Freudian backlash of thinking, well, if I yank someone else's defenses, if they're not asking for that, it could backfire. Anyway, so I wrote a little bit about this first paragraph just because the cues for inferences are wrong. That one sentence to me, or that even just the phrase is really just such a powerful idea. So we try to generalize using darkness and specialness to find the light or completeness. So the cues, of course, and I looked up cues online, a signal such as a word phrase, a bit of stage business to a performer to begin a specific speech or action. Well, that's the cues that we use in this world are, oh, something happened in my 3D dream world, my space-time dream. Oh, what am I going to do? Well, I've got to react to that. And then the inference is I'm being attacked, or I need to take this personally. But in order to take something personally, you have to be a person, and you have to have identified as a person. And without that assumption, without that basic foundational piece, then all bets are off. We don't have to be subject to the world if our identity isn't completely glued to it. It doesn't mean that our bodies don't experience things, but the old phrase that we're familiar with now is, what does that got to do with me, my real identity? Yeah. So then another thing I jotted down: we long for the whole song, referring to the forgotten song, but we try to satisfy ourselves with isolated notes that mean nothing out of context. And there's the the parts of the elephant that we think, oh well, wow, I've got this whole thing. Well, no, we maybe have just a little tiny fragment of it, a little bit we've carved out of unity, as it says elsewhere in the course. We truly want to return to the general solution in the whole mind and not the specifics of a particular pathetic body or personality. And I don't mean pathetic in a demeaning way, but when we, sometimes when I stagger to the bathroom mirror and look at what I see there, it's like, I'm going to limit perfect oneness and eternal innocence to this. What? I mean, that's pretty hilarious, it's kind of pathetic, but not to be mean to what I've, to myself, but just to say to my decision-making mind, it's like, there's an upgrade possible here. I don't have to be stuck with ego if I don't want to be, right? Exactly. Okay. And then, the last thing I noted down is special or specifics are the consolation prize. We're shortchanging ourselves when the only lasting comfort is experienced in what works in every circumstance of dreams of space-time, because that solution, the general solution, our real identity is outside space and time. So I think, again, this forgotten song and the introduction really are saying that, our cues for inference are wrong. And we're basically taking the hints and the little stage direction from the ego instead of from the right mind. And instead of the ego's, oh, I should be upset about this, or I should be elated and euphoric about, what's happening because I'm winning, something on the level of form. I could be saying, well, this is just what's happening on the dream, and I could look at it with a gentle, kind, patient, dispassionate calmness, and say, oh, there's another part of my mind that I can restore to the identity of sameness and wholeness, and not push it away from myself. Yeah. whether it's a person or a thing. And then inference, cues for inference, a conclusion reached on the basis of evidence and reasoning. Well, normally the inferences are the ego's reasoning. Well, I'm here, I'm stuck in this dream, so now how do I make the best of it? Well, yeah, it's pretty pathetic again. It's pretty abysmal if we think that our only hope is to try to achieve something close to neutrality in a zero-sum game where everything is really a win-lose, which is really a lose-lose, from the course's perspective. So, and then it says researchers are entrusted with drawing inferences from the data, when I looked up inference, and basically, a conclusion or opinion that is formed because of known facts or evidence. Well, what we call knowledge in this world is really such tiny little shreds of things. Even what the AI is using large language models. Well, large language models on a tiny planet orbiting an average star in a mediocre galaxy. It's not that large in the cosmic perspective, even on this level, right? But the inference is we're basically, you know, saying, well, this is what I can assume because I don't really have a direct experience of anything. So I'm gonna, I've got my blindfold on and I'm listening to this interpreter called ego, and no wonder I fall down little potholes in the cave now and then, and and have to hit game over and then get a new lifetime to start over kind of thing, because my cues for inference are wrong. So I stumble and fall and crash and burn, and then I have to hit the reset button, right? So anyway, that's enough for that. But I think this is just such a loaded paragraph again. And now I'd like Tim and Marissa to comment, and go for it.
Oh, I was just trying to put together everything you were saying, and one way, for me, another synonym for inference is based on what I understand. I'll get the cue for what to do next, which is what you said.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just my eyes are lying to me. The cues for inference are in a sense, the way I understand the cues, and those cues are all coming from my five senses, and they're all lying, not just my eyes, but everything's lying. Everything's just lie, and it's all based on. In a sense, it's all based on death is real, pain is real, and what can I do for a few seconds to escape death and pain? I get to the top of the roller coaster. I have this horrible feeling I'm going to die, but I don't really die. And we pay lots of money to do that. Amusement parks are still gigantic. Remember the zipper ride? I think the zipper is still around. Man, that was the ultimate. Take acid and get on the zipper. There was nothing like that. You transcended death for sure. You were definitely going to die. So, but I mean, everything is just, all special love is just postponing death for a little while. I hate death. I hate pain. I mean, that's what the special, hate relationship is. And for a little while with the special love, I get to escape it. I get on the roller coaster ride. I get close to death, but then I escape death. The safety of the way we believe so much. Yeah, of course, get special love for a little while. Even if it doesn't last, at least for a few seconds, I escape death. I escape pain.
Exactly.
But it makes pain and death so real. I mean, and my whole life's purpose is to escape death and escape pain. When I made up death and pain, how absurd was that? I didn't have to get on the roller coaster ride. I didn't have to pay good money to let my brother trick me into this. That's what we think Jesus is doing. He's tricking us to get on this roller coaster.
Or maybe like Ken says in one of his talks, I think he refers to it as a lifeboat, and we're bailing out of the Titanic dream, but we're not really ready to bail yet because we think there still might be hope for that Titanic dream. But Jesus is in this little lifeboat and said, "Come on, you'll like this," Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, we think there's really no safety or security or peace in the ego's craziness, but we've convinced ourselves that, well, that's better than the other oblivion that I think I made up, or something like that anyway. Right? Yeah, thanks. Marissa.
Hey, yeah, good morning, everyone. I was just, I guess sentence, is it two? Yeah, sentence two kind of stuck out to me today. They must infer what they could be seen. They must infer what could be seen from evidence forever indirect. And that reminds me of that section where it says, perception seems to teach you what you see, yet it but witnesses to what you taught.
Mm-hmm.
The outward picture of a wish, an image that you wanted to be true. So this is all indirect. It's all unreal, and it's all we think is real. And that's the insanity there. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, it really is insane to think that we have, a corner on the market for understanding, and that, what our senses tell us is, even part of the picture, let alone the whole picture. I mean, you look at, if you Google illusions and look at all the optical illusions, I mean, there's zillions of them, and you realize, our senses are deceived and diverted and distorted and abridged routinely by everything, and our brain actually fills in the gaps and makes stuff up. Or Robin Williams uses another more colorful word, but we make stuff up. But
Yeah, and he's being kind here because it's really a lie that we're looking at. It's deceit, and
yeah,
it's purposeful deceit.
it
And
is. It
we're
is. Yeah.
believing it.
Right. We
He's
want to
being
believe
kind
the
here.
lie. Yeah, exactly. We want to believe the lie. When Tim was talking about lies, one moment I was thinking of that Simon and Garfunkel uh, song that has the lie, la, lie, lie, la, lie, 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 lie lyric. Isn't that the one? Something like that.
Yeah.
That's a refrain that just describes the background chatter of our ego mind. It's just a bunch of lies. Yeah.
It's
Thanks.
something like too, we all see what we want to see or hear what we want to hear and disregard the rest.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's a boxer, isn't it? Isn't it? That's the
Yeah.
one. Yeah. So that's pretty good stuff. That's a great lyric, actually. Yeah. I forgot that. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, good. They're really good reminder.
Just kind of putting together. I mean, so the first two paragraphs in the intro, he's describing what we do, especially from the ego's point of view. And then paragraphs 1 through 5 in this first section, they describe, we close our eyes and then we feel the side of the elephant and then we decide what the elephant is.
Right.
And we have no idea what the elephant is.
Exactly.
And so, but we're the one that closed our eyes and we refuse to open them just to see what's the bigger picture, what's really going on. And then he goes into this whole non-dualistic experience of it's like Jesus took a hit of acid. He starts describing non-duality, and I'm like, because he's comparing that to what we think is going on.
Right.
I mean, it's like, wow, it's so trippy the way he just jumps into the forgotten song. I mean, it's like, what?
Well, there's that contrast between the insanity of our lying and the truth that's just waiting patiently, isn't it? Yeah. So speaking of getting back to the truth, thank you, Tim. Abe, would you like to read the second paragraph?
Okay. I before I get there, I wanted to say something about inferences also.
Okay.
As you know, Bruce, I worked in at a lab, and my specialty was an area called optimization theory, which is similar to say CAT scans. Basically you send some data, you send some waves through your head, let's say, and there's an algorithm that takes that data and generates an image out of that. Now, two things about that. Number one is that the head and the image are not the same thing. The image is one thing and the head, the truth, is another thing. So when you're in inference mode, you're always looking at something that is not real.
Right.
It may be based on some data that may be real, but the image itself, you don't confuse the image with your brain, right?
Exactly.
It's just right. And the other thing is that about inferences in this domain is that they tend to be ambiguous. Depending on how you tweak the algorithm, the image will change quite a bit. And therefore, not only is it not the brain, but what it represents about the brain is in question,
Right.
depending on what's in the algorithm. So that all applies here too, to how we're thinking. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. That's very helpful. And yeah, and we're tweaking algorithms that basically are partial, and anything partial really it's not main, and maybe that kind of ties into Ken's comment, like it isn't evil, sinful, or wicked. It's just silly. It's incomplete. It's a lie only in the sense that something that's incomplete purports to be and pretends to be complete. And that's the lie. And we take the incomplete identity that we made up, that we call a personal self, and we say, well, that's got to be my whole identity. It's like, wrong.
And then, then the algorithm, like you watch YouTube, and YouTube knows what you like to hear.
All
and
right.
what does it give you? 8 more million videos about what you like to, pet videos, liberal videos.
What you already believe in
It's
spades.
like,
Right? Yeah,
it's like bam, bam, bam.
right. Yeah, it gives you ever so much more so as the Homer Price books I read as a kid, of what you think you already understand or believe or want, right? Yeah. And there's a wonderful documentary called The Social Dilemma where they talk about that. And a lot of social media engineers are like, yikes, what have we done? We made a monster. And because that's what the algorithms do. They feed you what you want to see. But that's exactly just mirroring or parroting the ego. It basically feeds us what we want to experience, and we say, well, that's just the way the world works. Well, it's only because we made it that way. It's very contrived, isn't it? Yeah. Thanks. Daniela, would you like to read the next paragraph?
You had asked me, Bruce, to
Yeah.
read it. Would you like me to
Oh,
do that?
you actually haven't read it. That's right. I was going to say you had such a good comments. I thought you'd read it, but no. But no. Go ahead and read it, and then Daniela can read the next one. Sorry.
How foolish it is to attempt to judge what could be seen instead.
Yeah.
It is not necessary to imagine what the world must look like. It must be seen before you recognize it for what it is.
Yes.
You can be shown which doors are open, and you can see where safety lies, and which way leads to darkness and which to light. Judgment will always give you false directions, but vision shows you where to go. Why should you guess?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So would you rather use a faulty algorithm or a proven one that works?
Exactly. Yeah. And it's direct experience versus indirect. So because we're in the realm of indirect experience, forgiveness is the indirect approach that undoes all the other indirect silliness, right?
Yeah.
And what you said, the two thoughts you expressed before reading that paragraph, the one about, the data is not that, the model is not
It's not the thing.
is not the thing. Yeah. And I was reminded of that wonderful painting by Rene Magritte that shows, a pipe like that you would smoke tobacco. And the title of the painting is "This is not a pipe." And if you think about it, it's like, well, no, it's a painting of a pipe, right? It's like, well, yeah, duh, right? But that's the whole point of his painting, is like it's representational, but the representation is not what it is, what the thing represents. It just is a symbol of it, and our bodies and our minds and everything that we've made up is a symbol. And so of course, as words are symbols of symbols, twice removed from reality. So all these levels of symbolism and representation really can't be the reality that is our real identity. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we can be shown which doors are open and see where safety lies. Well, that's again trusting Holy Spirit. Yeah. And judgment always gives you false direction, but vision shows you where to go. Why should we guess? Well, that's a good rhetorical question, isn't it? And that's one that we keep asking ourselves when we are in our sane moments, and just say, yeah, that's right. There's a real alternative here. Yeah, thanks. Danielle, would you like to read the next one?
Yes, thank you, Bruce. Okay, paragraph 3.
Mm-hmm.
There is no need to learn through pain, and gentle lessons are acquired joyously and are remembered gladly. What What gives you happiness you want to learn and not forget. It is not this you would deny. It is not this you would deny. Your question is whether the means by which this course is learned will bring to you the joy it promises. If you believed it would, the learning of it would be no problem. You are not a happy learner yet because you still remain uncertain. That vision gives you more than judgment does. And you have learned that both you cannot have. So you can't have your cake and eat it too.
What do you want, death or cake, right? Like our comedian friend Eddie, who gave us that little saying, right? But that's it. I mean, we think that well, maybe death isn't so bad, I mean, I'm kind of getting tired of cake. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like maybe, sentence 7, you are not a happy learner yet because you still remain uncertain that vision gives you more than judgment does, because maybe judgment will give that specialness will give me just a little bit more something or whatever, or
Yeah.
get on the roller coaster again or
Yeah.
whatever that may be. But
That bitter aftertaste of oblivion, huh?
yeah, bitter aftertaste of oblivion. Yeah, we love that bitter taste, huh?
Apparently, yeah, and that's what
Yeah,
Jesus is saying. You
yeah.
really like this stuff? It's like it's pretty ghastly, It's like, yeah, there's a much better banquet I've got waiting for you here. Yeah.
That's right.
Wasn't Eddie's little YouTube crazies based on what the church did?
I
They
think so.
offered
I think so.
they
Yeah.
offered
Yeah. You're
people
right.
to
Yes.
die,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
you could have
Yeah,
the
right.
cake in the church. If
Yes,
you didn't
exactly.
buy into what the church was saying, you just boom off with your head.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you. Yes. Lisa, would you like to read the next one?
Paragraph 4.
Yes.
The blind become accustomed to their world by their adjustments to it. They think they know their way about in it. They learned it, not through joyous lessons, but through the stern necessity of limits they believed they could not overcome. And still believing this, they hold those lessons dear and cling to them because they cannot see. They do not understand the lessons keep them blind. This they do not believe. And so they keep the world they learn to see in their imagination, believing that their choice is that or nothing. They hate the world they learn through pain, and everything they think is in it serves to remind them that they are incomplete and bitterly deprived. But it's like it's the blinders that we put on. We don't even
Mhm,
question that there's something else. I mean,
mhm,
it's and yet it keeps them blind. They don't realize they made the images, and so they just keep it going. It just keeps
mhm.
going. So
Exactly. We don't realize that we made up the
yeah,
entire dream of space
exactly.
and time. Maybe not the entirety as we think of it, but certainly the entirety as our moment-to-moment experience seems to deliver it to us. Well, what flashed in my mind as you're reading that, Lisa, is those virtual reality headsets. Has anybody seen those where it's kind of like this immersive thing that blocks out the external light, and you've got the headsets, and so I mean, for all intents and purposes, other than the other three senses, I suppose, but sight and
Yeah,
sound anyway, you've got this immersive experience, and people can play video games and do these things with now high definition you know production values that make it
yeah,
seem pretty damn real. and, and yet it's just the projection, the projection is making the perception that then is, I think, is a pretty good metaphor for what we're doing. We're in a virtual reality game of our own making,
yeah,
and we've forgotten that we hired a pretty pretty crazy programmer that we call ego to write a script that we're not that fond of if we look at it objectively. Yeah.
And the other metaphor that comes to mind is when you mentioned earlier Plato's cave.
Yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, we don't even realize, even when it's shown to us, you
Uh-huh.
know, they don't believe, you don't believe it. So, yeah.
I like my manacles. Thank you very much. And I'm content with these dim
Yeah.
shadows that kind of blobs that don't represent too much. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Uh,
Thanks.
Marissa?
Yeah, just kind of following up what Lisa and you were talking about. It's it's so obvious that interpretation is what gives everything power, because these bodies running around are nothing, and we just put the interpretation on everything, all the objects, all the situations, all our thoughts. I mean, everything. And it's all interpretation. That is what we give the power to, what we see, hear, feel, or what we seemingly do. And it's not about bodies, objects at all, because that's not even there. And here we give all the power to that to affect us. And it's not even there. That is the unreal. It's a lie. It's the deceit. And if we just kind of remind ourselves, yes, this is all interpretation. I'm interpreting things in order. For what purpose? Oh, maybe it keeps me here, keeps me real, keeps me an individual. I am right and God is wrong. And then the sin, guilt, and fear start up again. And because of our choice, our ongoing choice. And it's just such a powerful teaching, the course, that tells us, it just goes beyond so many other teachings to the crux of the matter, and how we, using the power of our mind to ignore the power of our mind and put it all out there. And it's just all interpretation. That's what makes it live. Yeah. Thank you.
Interpretation is key, isn't it? I mean, because it's one, there's just two opportunities to interpret. One is to interpret with the ego's, okay, this virtual reality game I've made is real, and there's nothing else that's real. And the other interpretation, which is challenging, it still for most of us most of the time, because we've done such a bang up job of making this high production value virtual reality game that we call space and time and bodies and the cosmos, that what you mean there's another reality that's more real than this? How could that be? And yet there's a part of our mind that knows that that's true on some level. And I think that's why this forgotten song is such a powerful section, because it basically says, you think you've forgotten it, but you still remember a few notes, but you really want the whole song. So yeah. So would you like to read the next paragraph, Marissa?
Sure. Are we on 4?
I think we just read 4, right? So we're on 5.
Or on 5? Okay.
Mhm.
Thus they define their life and where they live, adjusting to it as they think they must, afraid to lose the little that they have. And so it is with all who see the body as all they have and all their brothers have. They try to reach each other and they fail and fail again. And they adjust to loneliness, believing that to keep the body is to save the little that they have. Listen and try to think if you remember what we speak of now.
Mm. There's the new cue coming in, right? There's the cue for the new cue.
There's the introduction to the melos, which is
Exactly.
a
Yeah.
song.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful, huh?
Mhm.
You notice in both this paragraph and the one that Lisa read, the word adjustment is there. And I think of the sin as an adjustment section. It's like, well, we've become so accustomed or inured. That's one of my new favorite words for the year or two. Um, it's kind of like the sound of a clock ticking. You get used to it and you don't even notice it after a while. Or when neighborhood sounds or whatever after a while. I'm getting used to other neighborhood sounds living in, in a new part of the country. And it's like, oh, well, these are just sounds that you hear every day in this neighborhood instead of the other ones. Um, but we become inured or accustomed or adjusted to the ego's dirge, basically the craziness and the absurdity of the ego's thought system. and we don't even question it. We just, well, that's just what life is. How could there be anything but that? Well, only because our minds are so powerful, and we've taught ourselves with incredible skill that this is it. And a lot of, basically train ourselves to block out just everything but that.
And the question is, what is it for? That always brings it back, Yeah.
Purpose is everything. Yeah, exactly.
Like you said,
And
the inferences and everything.
yeah,
Thanks.
exactly. Because we want to make interpretations that we know are going to fail us. And so we either use distorted or incomplete data, and in such a way that, we get a fuzzy picture or a distorted picture, and at best, and certainly incomplete. And then we wonder why we're disappointed when that picture fails us. Yeah. So, Tim?
Oh, I was just thinking about, the horrendous punctuation. Listen, comma, dash, probably the worst punctuation in recorded history. But in
Don't
this
tell
case,
don't
it
tell
was
Barnes.
yeah, right. In this case, it was a good idea. It's like listen, pause, really step back. You're not going to drop off the end of the world when you get to the top. You're just going to keep going up.
Is there a comma dash in that paragraph? Because I'm reading the
No, the second one, the next one.
the next one. Yeah, okay, there it is.
Real
Yeah,
listen.
yeah, okay, right. Yeah, okay, got now I see it. Yeah, got it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's like
It is a good one.
the pause that refreshes. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so speaking of the next paragraph, let's see.
Maybe an
Peggy Lee.
ellipsis would have been better, Tim.
There you go. Yeah. Or a circle, which is an ellipse that just has the same major and minor axis, which will, for the nerds in the group.
Uh-oh,
Uh,
what's an ellipsis?
an ellipse, not an. I was playing with words there.
Oh,
Yeah,
an
It's
ellipse.
like the ... at the
right.
end of the sentence.
Right.
Yeah.
The 3 dots instead of the 1 blue dot. Right. Peggy Lee, would you like to read the next paragraph? And get us back into our right minds after a scathing discussion of the insanity and absurdity of the ego.
Yeah. Okay.
And you get to read the funny punctuation.
I think the most important word in the whole thing is listen. We don't listen to the right mind. So listen with a really long line. Perhaps you catch a hint of an ancient state not quite forgotten, dim perhaps, and yet not altogether unfamiliar, like a song whose name is long forgotten, and the circumstances in which you heard completely unremembered. Not the whole song has stayed with you, but just a little wisp of a melody attached not to a person or place or anything particular. But you remember just from this little part how lovely was the song, how wonderful the setting where you heard it, and how you loved those who were there and listened with you. So, to the blue dot all the time. Just listen. You can listen. You get to choose. Take full responsibility.
Yeah,
About
exactly.
it. I don't know what else to say.
Oh yeah, it's just really beyond words, isn't it? I mean, especially the last part of this section. It's very profound. I a lot of times, and I've been reading this for over 4 decades now, and every time I read this section, there's this certain quality that's actually, I think, beyond emotion. It's really like there's a quality in our mind that recognizes, we really haven't completely forgotten our real identity. I mean, we can feign ignorance and pretend that we're, "Oh, I don't know what it's saying, and I don't understand the punctuation or the iambic pentameter or whatever." But there's a part of us that knows what's going on in this course. And, the reason that we're all in this, Zoom session together right now, and studying the course in general is, there's a part of us that does want to remember the whole song, remember the the genuine in total inclusive family and kinship that this little group that we call our School for A Course in Miracles Zoom group represents, and all the other course related things that we do in meetings online and whatever, but not just limited to that tiny little fragment, but all of creation, and not just the people on one little planet, or all the flora and fauna and minerals, animals, vegetables, whatever, throughout what we think of as the dream of space-time. But it's really, we don't even understand what creation is, and that's okay. But there's a quality of feeling and thought that brings us back to that remembrance, and we want the whole thing. We don't want just little pieces of it. And I think that's the real nostalgia for the truth that we couldn't possibly have forsaken, that draws us back to the course and what it's really saying, not just to the words, not just as a painting of a pipe like Rene Magritte was trying to do, but we want the real experience, not just the representation. Yeah. Thanks. Tim, and then Abe.
I was thinking about, Thursday night class, Dark Night, Living Flame. So, I mean, I think this should have been the real book of Revelations, right? This whole forgotten song, not the fire and the brimstone and the four riders of the apocalypse, which made the apocalypse real. I mean, there ain't no apocalypse. There ain't no four riders. There's no fire and brimstone. I mean, where he's going here is like the Dark Knight is looking at death and realizing we made it up. But it's not so dark after that. It's just like, we don't have to keep making it up. We can actually ask for help to let it go. I mean, we have to like at least get to that point of, yeah, it's pretty dark, but what if I'm just making it up? And then, you let it go, and then this stuff kicks in. This is what the real experience is. This is what John the Beloved or St. John of the Cross had.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. When you mentioned apocalypse, I was flashing on in this little glossary I put together with a lot of help from a lot of you. I didn't have an entry for Z, so I put zombie apocalypse in there for fun. I said, well, zombie actually isn't in the course, but apocalypse is. But I was thinking, it's like we could rewrite one of the most frequently cited lines in the course is, I'm not a zombie. I am free. I'm still as God created me, right? So Abe.
Yeah, this is such a beautiful part of the course. I mean, it's just starting. I hate to even comment sometimes because I don't want to distort anything that the message has in it. But that last sentence. But you remember how lovely was the song, how wonderful the setting, and how you loved those who were there with you. That bit, is suggesting that the loveliness of the song and the fact that we're listening together are related to each other. The beauty of the song and the oneness with which we're listening is the beauty of the song is because of the oneness of the listening, I guess is what I'm trying to get at.
Beautifully said. Yes. Yes. Yeah, that's so true. And I was thinking as you were saying that kinship, the camaraderie, the truly extended family that is all inclusive, that feeling kind of reminds me of that part in the course that says, one of the craziest things of all in our beliefs is the belief that we could lose the ones we love, that everyone we've ever truly cared for and appreciated, which really is everyone in our right minds, has never left us. There's no way that the song could be lost, because the reality is not the notes, not the specifics. Those are just representations of the totality that we thought we'd forsaken. Yeah, thanks.
What an ego trap on the roller coaster. So you go up slowly and you're all together and you're rising above it all, and it's all beautiful and serene and quiet. And then the whole bottom drops out of it, and you're all going to die. You're all of you, not just you. You're all going to die for sure.
Don't what a wicked web we
this.
weave when we listen to ego's propaganda to deceive, right? Yeah, exactly. Alrighty. Let's see. I think I just had, Marissa, did you have something? Or just,
Yeah, I was just gonna add,
okay.
and the Holy Spirit saying, please come with me onto the Dumbo ride. It's just, it's this wonderful mild ride, nothing much
The
happening.
mild ride instead of Mr. Toad's Wild Ride,
Yeah,
just a block away in Disneyland. Yeah.
The
right.
dumb ride. You don't have to figure out anything.
Dumbo, the flying elephant.
You need not understand anything ride to get on this ride.
Oh,
You don't need to be a certain height or believe that your understanding is a powerful contribution to the truth or anything, right? Just get on the ride. Get on Holy Spirit's uh, joyous ride. Yeah. Let's see. I think everyone that has their video on has read. Kishore and Lynn and Sakina would, let's see, Kishore, would you like to read? And you might be off camera. Um, if so,
I can read. Which
oh,
paragraph
great.
is it?
We're on 7.
Okay.
Thanks.
The notes are nothing, yet you have kept them with you, not for themselves, but a soft reminder of what would make you weep if you remember how dear it was to you. You could remember, yet you're afraid, believing you would lose the world you learned since then. And yet, I want to read that again. You could remember, yet you're afraid, believing you would lose the world you learned since then. And yet you know that nothing in the world you learned is half so dear as this. Listen and see if you remember an ancient song you knew so long ago and held more dear than any melody you taught yourself to cherish since. It's purely, I am attracted to this world, the misery, the pain and suffering and everything, because I value it more than the peace that comes with choosing the right teacher. And most of all, the ego actually threatens you with your identity. That's where the whole trouble is for me. At least for me, I have to talk only about me because this is for me. So it is only about me. So I do not want to lose my identity. I would rather slave on to my pain and suffering because I still think there is something that this world could give me.
Yeah. Yeah,
Sorry to be
exactly.
a Debbie Downer here, but
Oh
that
no,
is what my ego is.
I think that's the crucial honesty that we all need to confront. And when we do that, we're basically opening the door for Holy Spirit to step in and say, we're saying, okay, well, if I'm admitting that I want this and I can say that without condemning myself, then we're in a position where we can look honestly at what the outcome of that choice has done for us,
Yeah, because
right?
we do not know who we are without our identity.
Right.
Because, as Ken says, until the day you wake up in the morning and see in the mirror that you're not a body, you are still going to be dragging the ego with you every single time
Mhm.
because you relate your body. That means by default, you are believing and accepting, and you are affirming the ego's teaching. That is what it is always going to be. So you need to, because that's why I always tell Bruce, my favorite section in the whole book is the obstacles to peace. You have to penetrate through the veil of your identity, this world, and all the wonderful things it has provided you. And you have to penetrate through that to go and see the peace of God and receive the peace of God. That
Yep.
is still there. It is not, the forgotten song is still sitting with you right now. You can
Mhm.
choose
Mhm.
again and again and again every moment. It's not like I do it in the morning and I forget, or before nighttime you read something, oh, all good. But it has to be moment by moment, every single time. When you're happy, look at it. Wow, what does it make you elated, happy, and everything? If you're sad, look at it. Everything you have to observe with the Holy Spirit and not lose sight of that part. That's my 2 cents.
Beautiful. Yeah, and that's so crucial because the course isn't about affirming the truth, it's basically removing the obstacles to the awareness of love's peace. And those obstacles to peace are everything that we've put in the way of chopping up the song and just saying, oh, I'll be content with the one note or a few notes. Taking the perfect oneness and saying, well, I'll divide it up into all these little special love-hate bundles that I call bodies and galaxies and lifetimes, and I'll make do with that. Well, it never works.
That's
And
where your whole thing is question everything.
Yeah,
Your
every value.
relationship with
Yep.
everything and everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I look at it, it's like scary how much relationship I have with the things of this world, even not with the human beings, with silly things, how my plans, how my things, my tools, and that's where it's like, whoa. And my books, don't touch my book because I do those kind of a thing. And it is kind of, and we are so mesmerized and kind of in a amnesia practically, because it's kind of this whole thing is, yeah.
Yep.
So
yeah, mesmerization is a very appropriate word. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Kishore. Yeah, excellent points. And we really do, if we want peace, we have to look at the war that we've made out of our mind and recognize that, yeah, it's a pretty bloody war, but it's a video game. A very, very photorealistic video game. And we can reboot the thing and turn it into take off the virtual reality goggles and realize that, oh, the real world has been going on all along, and we just have to take the silly headset off. Tim.
Well, as Kishore was talking, I was thinking about today's lesson. Like I don't rule no kingdom. Maybe I rule my apartment. Maybe I rule my body sometimes, but I don't have much rule. I can't even get Lynn to agree with me on half the stuff or she wants to do or I want to do. I mean, I don't rule crap.
Half? I'm impressed if you could get to half.
And then I was thinking about, I'm really impressed that the kings, the idea of a king, they actually had a fool sitting next to him who would remind them, you don't have to take all this so seriously. You don't even have to take yourself so seriously. That kings actually thought that was a good idea and allowed it and welcomed it. I mean, Jesus is the fool that's constantly, we're the king, and Jesus is the fool telling us, you don't have to take all this so seriously. You made it up. It's your kingdom. Listen to me. I'll tell you how to laugh at it.
Maybe his real name wasn't Yeshua. Maybe it was Jester, not Jesus.
Oh, that's good.
Thanks, Tim. That's great. I like that. Marissa.
Yeah, I was just going to comment on what Kishore was saying. It's such a good reminder because the ego does not want to be looked at. It would like to be ignored, have you think that you are it, and it doesn't want to be the subject of attention. It wants the attention outward, or even in a thought, that's also outward. And once you put your attention on the subject, which is the ego, and look at it and watch it and witness it and observe it, we take its power away, because eventually it disappears, because it doesn't want to be looked at. It wants you to think this is just all rolling, and yes, you are the ego. But once it's looked at as the subject of where these thoughts are coming from, that disappears, because it's unreal. It is unreal. So it can't stand when it's looked at. So eventually, the more we keep doing that, which we're doing with Jesus, it just starts to fade. And that's what he's promising us here. But that's what's so interesting, what Kishore said, that's really, it's good to be honest, to say, yeah, I want this, but also who wants this? Who is that wants this? Question that. Go back to the one that's wanting this. It is unreal in essence, but yeah, we just have to slowly get there the indirect way.
Exactly. It's looking at that decision maker and the little arrow in Ken's chart that's pointing to the ego that could just as easily point to the Holy Spirit, huh? Yeah, but we have to look. Exactly. Well, we're already running a little over. So, Lynn, are you available to read? I know you're off camera. If not, I will just read the last 3 paragraphs, and we can use that as a closing meditation. I'm not hearing anything. Okay. Okay. We'll just go ahead and we'll just read the last 3 paragraphs. And it's again, like Abe was pointing out, this is something, and several of you, that's such a profound and wonderful reminder of our real identity. This last part of the Forgotten Song. We'll just read it as a meditation and just let the words sink in. Beyond the body, beyond the sun and stars, past everything you see and yet somehow familiar, is an arc of golden light that stretches as you look into a great and shining circle. And all the circle fills with light before your eyes. The edges of the circle disappear, and what is in it is no longer contained at all. The light expands and covers everything, extending to infinity, forever shining and with no break or limit anywhere. Within it, everything is joined in perfect continuity. Nor is it possible to imagine that anything could be outside, for there is nowhere that this light is not. This is the vision of the Son of God, whom you know well. Here is the side of him who knows his Father. Here is the memory of what you are, a part of this with all of it within, and joined to all as surely as all is joined in you. Accept the vision that can show you this, and not the body. You know the ancient song and know it well. Nothing will ever be as dear to you as this ancient hymn of love the Son of God sings to his Father still. And now the blind can see, for that same song they sing in honor of their Creator gives praise to them as well. The blindness that they made will not withstand the memory of this song, and they will look upon the vision of the Son of God, remembering who he is they sing of. What is a miracle but this remembering? And who is there in whom this memory lies not? The light in one awakens it in all. And when you see it in your brother, you are remembering for everyone. So we'll just take a moment and let that sink in. All right. Well, thank you all for sharing this, one of my many favorite sections of the course.
Remember the Motel 6, the CEO guy that would say, the light is always on.
Yeah, exactly.
Just
Exactly.
come on home. Light's always on.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
And he did it so well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you, Bruce.
That was
Thank you
great.
all.
Thanks,
Thanks, Bruce.
everybody.
Thank you.
Very good.
Yeah.
Whew.
And all the other Bruces on the screen.
Mm.
And all the other Chris's on the screen.
Oh yeah.
all you kids on the roller coaster.
And all you blue dots.
Yes, there we go.
The blue dot group. Well, that's.
Oh.
But it's all an all-inclusive group. That's the beauty of it. Yeah, yeah.
The blue dot group.
And no paint required.
I thought about painting myself blue just to help remind me that I'm the decision maker. You know, at every moment, looking in the mirror. Oh yeah,
You can just put a post-it note on your forehead.
that'll work
There you
too.
go.
Myra-
A little
Myra has
blue
it.
dot, right?
Is the Blue Man Group still around?
Yes.
Look
guys
at
that
Myra.
There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
A post-it note.
Wait a minute,
There
everybody
you go,
has
the
a blue
dot.
dot.
Lisa's got the blue
Work on
dots.
her colors.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lisa's got a whole bunch of blue dots.
Daniela, just get some blue post-its
There you
and then
go.
make it into a circle.
There you go.
Yeah.
The third eye of the decision maker,
There
right?
you go. That's
Oh,
I
good.
like it.
that's
That kind of fits, doesn't it? Because we got
Yeah.
yeah.
Good. Thanks, guys.
Oh,
Thank you.
truly helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you all. Yeah.